Welcome back to What You Will Learn. My name is Adam Ashton.
And my name is Adam Jones. We just spoke to MJ DeMarco. Privileged speaking to this guy. Really slaps people up. And he values his time more than anybody you'll ever meet. So appreciate it.
He slapped us up in many ways, this time about reading books too much. So we got to stop circle jerking. Oh, that's probably too early for that.
Bit too early for that. But he didn't just slap you up. I remember 4 years ago, he threw a chair across your face, didn't he?
He certainly did. It was a Millionaire Fastlane was a big eye-opener and a real shifter. Unscripted, his newer book, another big eye-opener. We spoke to him about 2.5 years ago. It was extremely, extremely awkward. It was probably one of our first 5 interviews. This time it was a lot better.
Yeah, I think we did well. And if you haven't yet had your Fuck This event, then keep on listening. MJ time. Awesome, man. So thanks so much for your time, MJ. We know you value your time. So, yeah, we appreciate you coming on the podcast. I'd like to start off with perhaps your story of your Fuck This event for you, which made you change your paradigm and thought the fast lane entrepreneurship model is something you're going to dedicate the rest of your life to.
Well, I was in my Fuck This event was when I got stuck on the side of the road in a limousine. At the time, I was a chauffeur working for a ground transportation company. And I was a couple of years out of college, and I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. It really didn't hit me that I was there because basically I chose to be there. I took that job because it gave me some freedom to pursue my entrepreneurial dreams, but it wasn't really. It was kind of like I was going through the motions, but I got stuck on the side of the road. It was a blizzard, and I was barely making ends meet. And I just remember sitting there on the side of the road thinking to myself, God, what the hell am I doing with my life? And one of the things that clicked for me was that I wasn't constrained to one area. I lived in Chicago at the time. And I realized that, hey, I can move anywhere I want, and nothing's keeping me here, because I was pretty much seasonally depressed. So not seeing the sun made it very hard for me to work hard. And it was kind of a revelation that I said, you know what? I'm going to do whatever it takes, and I'm going to move. Even if I have to wash dishes or, drive a cab or something, I'm going to do it, because that's what's important to me, is to get out into an environment that's going to foster and further my goals.
Mm. Yeah, in your book, you talk about the analogy of the Matrix and Neo taking the red pill. And as soon as Neo takes the red pill, he's in this cold bath with all these tubes wrapped all over him. Mm. It sounds quite similar to what maybe you went through when you were sitting in the blizzard when you have this Fuck This event to get past all these beliefs and all the bullshit.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, that's what it is. It's very caustic. They lose their job, and they never expected to lose their job, or something happens, some calamity, and it's like ripping the Band-Aid off, and they just realize there's something better than this. And unfortunately, a lot of people have to go through that. Otherwise, they get numbed down by comfort, and comfort is what keeps you in mediocrity.
Mm. To give you a bit of context, we about probably 4 years ago, I first read The Millionaire Fastlane, and it really shifted my beliefs. It sort of put me on a different trajectory. And then about 2 years ago, we did it for the show, and now we're doing Unscripted, and we sort of talked people through maybe some of the lighter stuff. And we left some of the heavy hitters for you to maybe slap us up with some of the bullshit, the biases, and the beliefs. What's some messages you've got for people to let them know? What are some of these things around them that they believe that may not be necessarily true about the world?
Oh, there's a ton of them. But you really think about it, the most that no one really even thinks about or questions is Monday through Friday. Monday through Friday doesn't exist because there's a celestial reason for it, the moon or the sun or something. That's a human-invented construct. Your dog or an animal on the planet doesn't understand the difference between Monday or Saturday. They're all the same. except for humans. And we've made it, culture has made that construct that Monday through Friday is for you to work. And the days that are for you are Saturday and Sunday, and maybe the Friday night, And once you see that mirage, you realize, oh my God, it doesn't need to be that way, but that's just the way culture has trained you to be. So that's one of the main. That's a big piece of bullshit that exists for me. Monday is one of my favorite days, and that's because I recognize that every day is the same. But I like Monday because it also reminds me of the prison I escaped. Which is, the commute to traffic, the hating the job. Sunday night you get that dread. Oh my God, I got tomorrow, a whole week of this. No, I love my Monday. That's because I've built something that I can be proud of, and that I can control my destiny with. And that's, with entrepreneurship, value-added entrepreneurship.
Do you think, MJ, that it's inevitable that people realize this, but it's only a matter of time, and it might be in someone's last final days they realise that their whole life they might have made this trade that they really never had to?
Unfortunately, that's what a lot of people do. They work their butt off. They follow all the rules as society has told them to follow, and they realize, my God, I'm 65, I'm 70 years old, and what have I done? I've worked in a meaningless job. I barely have enough to retire. And basically, that's the rat race. The rat race is a economic model. It's a religion, pretty much, that tells you to, work Monday through Friday. That's the gospel. Work Monday through Friday. Save your investments. Give it to Wall Street. Give it to the stock market. And then, you play your cards right. You're going to be able to retire and get your freedom by the time you're 65 or 70 years old. That construct, that's a rat race ecosystem. It's the world's modern economic religion, and most people have no idea that they're following that religion. And you can't escape a religion if you don't even know you're in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the proxies for how much a country could believe this or be part of this religion maybe is the amount of debt that they're in. And Australia, we've got the second highest household debt in the world. And I got one of your quotes from your book. It says you are owned by your shit, which is owned by your debt, which is either owned or profited by a corporation. So you work for a corporation. Everything you buy comes from a corporation. Everything you watch is produced by a corporation. And the debt you owe is held by the corporation. So, what are your thoughts on Australia? Do you think we're the most locked in for this rat race you're talking about? I haven't been to Australia, so I can't really tell you. But it's partly capitalist. It's so there is there's certainly a narrative there as well. Obviously, it's worse in the States, but debt is merely production minus consumption. So when you produce less than you consume, you have debt, and debt is the tether. It is the chains to the rat race. And what better way? It's not like this in Australia, but in America, what better way to chain up a young group of people is to send them to college and slap them with $50,000 in debt, so they can get a job that doesn't move the needle. That here is the trap. It's a little different in Australia, but it's all has the same purpose. The hell has the same desired outcome, and that's somewhat unfortunate.
I tend to get the feeling that I think most people probably see the path that's in front of them, in that they see the school, the next level of university or college, and then the job, and then once they're in the job, they just see they want to climb to the next level up. I think maybe the big issue is they never really do step back and look at the bigger picture and question: are they part of the system, or are they adding some greater value on top of that? Maybe that's the sort of the first step, is that nobody's really questioning this; they're just sort of blindly following the path.
Yeah, they don't know why they're doing that. They just think, hey, I can get a bigger house, a faster car. And then they get the bigger house and the faster car, and they realize they're driving the faster car to work to pay for the house that they're not even in. And they don't understand why they're doing it. And the reason why my my narrative, my purpose is to demonstrate that freedom is really what you all should be working for. Everyone should be working for freedom because freedom is a huge metric in the happiness equation. They've actually done research on it that if you have freedom and autonomy in your life, in your work, 50% of your happiness will be taken care of. Obviously, there's other things in that other side of the 50% that we can't readily control, but we can control our freedom if we're debt free, if we do meaningful work, we have autonomy in our work. So that's really the point of my message. Is to not be working for the fastest car, which is nice to have. I've had them, but to be working for your freedom.
Yeah, love it. One of the biggest differences I found in Fastlane, your first book, and Unscripted was about the job. And you talked about in Unscripted how the job isn't necessarily all bad, and you can actually use your job as a Fastlane tactic. So can you talk about how people, if they want to go onto the fast lane, how they should be viewing their career as a way of getting on the fast lane track as quickly as they can?
Sure. I mean, I run a forum, business forum, has over 50,000 entrepreneurs, and a lot of them they have this perception that a job is just, it's evil or it's a sign that you failed. And it's not. It's just a means to an end. I think if you have this long game vision that you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to set yourself free, you can take a job with those purposes in mind. A job should give you, number one, the purpose to the ability to pursue your entrepreneurial dream. So if you're in a job that just saps your energy and you come home at night and you just have to climb into bed, yeah, then that's going to be a problem. That's probably not a job you want. But the job should also give you the ability to see opportunities in that particular industry. A lot of businesses are started because someone was in a job and they saw within the work they did an opportunity. And that's really how a lot of businesses are founded. So if you're not in a job, you can't see those opportunities. Another benefit of a job is to give you a skill that is leverageable, perhaps. In a higher pay of rate, instead of making $10 an hour, you're making $50 an hour, and it all starts incrementally. A lot of people want to make millions of dollars, but they haven't figured out how to make $1,000. So there's nothing wrong with the job as long as you maintain that long game vision of I'm working for my freedom. I'm working to get to a point where I have autonomy in my life. So don't look at the job as I failed or, I've given up. It's not that.
You talked there about skills and then building these sort of valuable skills that you can leverage up to add more and more value and obviously make more and more money for yourself. What are some of the broader general or generic skills that people should be looking for that are going to serve them well on the fast lane in the future?
Well, absolutely. Unequivocally is communication. And it doesn't matter what kind of business you want to own, even if it's an internet business where you're behind a computer, you absolutely need to know how to sell. It could be selling by the written word. It could be copywriting, sales copy. It could be in-person communication, standing in front of a group. Because in all forms of business, you're going to have to communicate. You're going to have to communicate to your employees, convince them that they want to work for you, convince them to stay if they're really productive and doing great work. You want to convince your customers that you're the right company to buy from. You want to convince the investors to give you $1 million in financing to grow your business. So every aspect of entrepreneurship has to do with sales and communication. So I would that's the number one skill that I would focus on. So if you can get a sales job, that's great because it helps you with that. And the beauty about sales, unfortunately, is you can have a really bad product, but if you know how to sell, you can sell that bad product. That's not something I recommend, but that just gives you the power of sales.
Mm. And I think that's one skill anyone listening now, no matter what job they're in, if they're just conscious of it, they could start working on that. You know, if they're not in direct kind of sales, it might just mean pitching an idea to your boss to start a new venture within the company or anything like that. So, you know, straight away, there's something that everyone can do.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, it's a skill that is never going to go out of style. It will serve you for the rest of your life.
One thing people might be wondering, perhaps if they've read the book or they've listened to 15 minutes of us talking now, is maybe their eyes have been opened. Maybe they think they should go out there and quit their job and start a fast lane business and start making lots and lots of money. I think probably the good thing about your book was that it wasn't, hey, go quit your job and then write the 5-page ebook and put it on Kindle and you can start making lots of money. And then and you even hung a bit of shit on all the people that are selling those sorts of get-rich-quick schemes, which is, I think, an extremely important distinction of the fast lane. It's not get-rich-quick. It's not buying a course, following a guru, and then quitting your job and going for it. Yours is a much more realistic view, I think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's be clear. Get rich quick actually exists. People get rich quick all the time. But get rich easy is where they miss the boat. You know, they unfortunately they read a book like mine and they go, oh yeah, I'm going to, they write that, the 10-page ebook and they put it on Amazon and 2 months goes by and they make $5. So they're like, that fast lane shit don't work. Well, what they're missing here is they're not providing any value. They're just what I call money chasing. They're chasing after the dollar. They're chasing after, hey, I need to make an income. What could I sell? What could I import from China that's going to make me some money? That doesn't work. That's money chasing. Ultimately, as entrepreneurs, we are solving problems. We are creating relative value as opposed to what already exists in the marketplace. You and I, we open our wallets and give our money to other people, other corporations, when we perceive value. Relative value better than what's in there. And usually what tempts us to buy and give money away to another person or corporation is what I call a value skew. And the value skew is something that says, you know what, this is what took me over the edge and compelled me to buy. And it could be something, people think that's the best price. Well, if I have the best price, I'll sell more. And more often than not, it's not the best price is what compels people to buy. It's some other feature, some other function. It could be an ingredient. It could be, your label was prettier. Or it could be your website had a picture of you and your dog on it. It's so ridiculous what some things compel people to buy. So the more things that you skew in that capacity, the more odds you have, the better probability you have of having actually the customer say, you know what, we're going to pick your company. Here's my money. So that sums up a value skew. Somewhat of a complicated subject, but that sums it up in a nutshell.
Yeah. MJ, for you, when you first started limousines.com, was there a period where you were actually working for free? Like, I feel like the people going after your Alibabas and your free or your Kindle $2 PDF kind of stuff, rushing to make that first dollar. For you, is there a period where you're doing it for free and there's a lot of hope mixed in with the work you're doing? Can you tell us about the start of the journey before things started really getting momentum?
Oh, absolutely. As an entrepreneur, usually when you're starting out, you're actually working for free. So if you're one of these people that say, I don't want to work a minimum wage job, well, you're not going to be a good entrepreneur, because usually when you're starting as an entrepreneur, you're working for free. It took me 3 years to write my first book, The Millionaire Fastlane. Okay, well, those 3 years I was working for free. And the second book took almost equally as long. And when I started my business, it took a couple months before I actually started making money, but I was designing websites as a side hustle at the time. And so that helped me, pay bills and do whatnot. But usually the process of starting a business has to be a process. It can't be an event, which an event is basically, hey, I signed this paper and I'm in business, or hey, I joined this program and now I'm in business. So that's common with like network marketing and, drop shipping programs and all that. See, that's an event. Usually, when you're joining something, when you're building a business or you're joining a business, you're not solving any problems. You're not creating relative value. So a lot of times that relative value is in the creation process, which can take weeks to months to build, and that's part of your entry mode as well. So when you start making money, someone can't come around and say, "Hey, I'm going to compete with you," and damn, the next day they're in business competing with you. So there's a curve there, or a delay between the point where you actually can, earn an income and sell your product to the point where you come up with the concept.
Mm. In both your books, you do speak a little bit about network marketing. Going back to the Matrix analogy where you get the blue pill and the red pill, do you think in network marketing people think they're taking the red pill, but they're really taking maybe a green pill or some other pill? They're fooling themselves that.
Well, they're taking a blue pill that's been dipped in blood.
That's how it gets read. Yeah.
I mean, it's because you become a vampire and you're like, you're going after your friends and family, and then you lose your friends and family because you won't shut up about it. It's just, and I get a lot of, I don't want to say hate mail about it, but hey, if you can succeed at network marketing, I think you can succeed at anything. It's an extremely tough business because the numbers aren't there for you. It violates all kinds of business principles. So if you succeed in that system, a system that is markedly against you, you would just knock it out of the park in a fast lane venture, an adventure that fills all the sense commandments is is my framework. Because that system is, an MLM system is not designed to really function well.
We've had our own little tastes of network marketing and a fair exposure from to a whole bunch of different stuff that everyone obviously tries to show you and tries to pitch to you. And I see a lot of videos of these amazingly successful, high-profile, high-powered people that are pitching the benefits of network marketing. My guess is that they probably don't want to get those people offside, and they probably want to get those people in to buy their other products. They don't want to diss it, whereas you're happy to diss it, which I think is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, and a lot of those people are also, their main product also is selling the MLM, coaching programs, training programs. That's quite popular. And I'm not dismissing the fact that there are people out there that make millions of dollars doing this. Not at all. Of course there are. There's also millions of people that, not millions, thousands of people that make millions of dollars playing pro basketball and pro football, and there's thousands of people who win the lottery. Yeah, okay. My concepts always come down to mathematics, probability, economics, market economics, and those types of things. And when we look at a network marketing model, it usually violates all kinds of things, right down to the math and the economics of it all.
Yeah. And putting the devil's advocate hat on for a second for, fast lane entrepreneurship in general, and on your point on mathematics, do you think there is survivorship bias of everyone listening right now hearing only from the entrepreneurs who made it? Because if you think about scalable business systems, they only work if, say, the numbers for podcasting, for example, you probably need hundreds of thousands per month at least for it to work. So there's not enough time in the day for everyone to go out there and make a successful podcast. And you could probably take that to a lot of different areas that you go in. So, that having the devil's advocate, could everyone be unscripted, or does the unscripted people rely on the scripted people as well?
No, not everyone can be unscripted. It's not mathematically possible. And that's fine, because it's like in the movie The Matrix, where Cypher is eating his steak and he wants to go back in the Matrix. He sees the Matrix, but he just wants to go back into it. A lot of people are like that. A lot of people want nothing to do with being their own business. They just like their paycheck. They're good with their weekend for their pay. And that's fine. That benefits all of us. But yeah, to answer your main question, of course there's a survivor bias with this as well. The thing is, though, is when you have a survivor bias on something that is so mainstream as get up and go to work 9 to 5, save all you can, be frugal, save all your pennies, don't dine out, cancel the movie channels, don't drink coffee, don't do this, don't do that, don't vacation, don't. And by the time you're 65, or even maybe 60, if you're lucky, you get to retire rich. Well, that's a survivor bias as well.
Yeah.
And the media is going to do a damn good job making sure you see those stories, because ultimately that's what promulgates the rat race religion. Now, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the guys that I see, the men and women who are living fantastic lives, young, 30s, 40s, 20s even, are not doing it because they're saving their money and they're they stop drinking coffee. They're doing it because they've built businesses that create relative value and they scale their wealth into the stratosphere. Instead of making $50,000 a year, they're making $50,000 a month. And when you do that, you become a millionaire very quickly. Now, what I propose as a fast lane entrepreneur, as an unscripted entrepreneur, is not really any more harder than it is to do the former. Working a job for 50 years and being disciplined to save all your money so you can hope the stock market or the super fund gives you the return you need is equally as hard as starting a business from nothing and scaling it into the millions. What we're having here is an asymmetric outcome. The asymmetric outcome of the success in the first system gets you to retire at 65 on 40% of what you normally make. The asymmetric outcome on the other side, when you start a fast lane business, is you get to retire early. You get to live the way you want to live. You buy the car you want to buy. You live in the house you want to live in. You do work that you find meaningful because you no longer need to worry about money. Both of my books are written from that perspective. I don't have to worry about how many sell because I've written it from the perspective that, hey, I don't need to worry about money. And I'm going to write something a little bit different. I'm going to write something that maybe a publisher wouldn't touch, but I can't, because that's the essence of being unscripted. Is to have that freedom. Again, once again, we come back to that word, freedom.
Yeah, fantastic. That was a good loop there. If the Unscripted came out about 2 years ago from the time we're talking, and you said it took sort of 3 years to write that, and before that 3 years to write the Millionaire Fastlane. Over the sort of almost 10 years, how have your views shifted? Is there any ideas that you've completely changed your mind on, or is there something that you've shifted slightly on throughout going through this process?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not sure if I want to get into that because it might turn off some of your...
That's good. If they're this far in, maybe they're ready.
Well, one of the things is, well, I wouldn't say I changed on it much, but, you're in the Millionaire Fastlane. I said, ignore your competition. And I still believe in that, but you want to watch your competition to uncover value skew. Because once again, when the customer looks at your company, they're going to be looking at your company and probably 2 other companies. So if you have a value skew when compared against each of those companies, hey, this company's better here, this company's better here, I'm giving them my money. So in that respect, that's something I wish I was a bit more clear on. In the earlier versions of the book, it wasn't so clear. Another thing is the script is everywhere in life, just absolutely everywhere. And this is the point where I didn't want to go into this, but I started looking at the script with respect to how we treat animals, how we're groomed to, we love our dog to death. But hey, if it tastes good, we'll just kill it and eat it, So I went vegan 2 years ago, and that's when I realized, hey, the script goes beyond just finance and economics, and I realized to myself that, hey, you know what? If I can't take this knife and slam it into its throat, kill it, and throw it on the grill, I'm not going to pay someone else to do it because I can't do it myself. Now, if we have the apocalypse, yeah, sure, I may do it, because it's life or death. But we live in a technological world where that really isn't necessary anymore. So I thought I was being a hypocrite. I said, you're being a hypocrite. You know, you talk about this script, but you're following another script. You don't want to see that portion of it. And so you're going to ignore it. So I kind of had a little come to Jesus here, you know, and I said, you know what, you can't, you're going to have to resolve that somehow. And the way to resolve it was I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I've been vegan for 2 years. That's when it wasn't just another script that I felt I uncovered.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
No, thanks for sharing that. I think it's hypocrisy. You know, I've got a lot of hypocrisy, so does everyone as well.
I don't
It's
mind
like-
a cheeseburger
it's-
every now and then.
Yeah, blissful ignorance. Like, I think one of my areas of focus is like sustainability and global warming, but at the same time, I go out there and enjoy steak night every Thursday night. But it's it's a really interesting one to know that you're being blissfully ignorant, and you probably hit that point and you thought, fuck it, I'm making the change and I'm going to make a stand.
Yeah, I mean, because I actually can't go through the grocery store now, through the meat department, and I can't walk through there anymore because I don't know what happened, but I can actually feel the fear and pain of, you know, the animals that were once alive that didn't want to die. So I don't know, I don't know what happened, but it's I don't know if it's just empathy or what's going on, but that's pretty big. It's actually the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
It's almost like another FTE, another fuck this event. You had your business FTE, 20, 25 years ago. Now you've had this FTE.
Yeah, personal kind of like, you know, an enlightenment or an awakening or something. But it was hard until it wasn't hard. Mm-hmm. So, you know, besides running a business, that was one of the hardest things I ever did for at least the first couple of months. And now it's pretty easy. Actually, that industry I see so many opportunities in the vegan industry. Plant-based industry, if we want to get away from the word, because vegan has kind of a negative connotation. But the plant-based industry is just, the opportunities there are just humongous. And I'm like, you know, I got to come out of retirement. I'm going to do something here, because there's just the growth. It's not, you know, I can tell you it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. And a lot of people are moving that way. A lot of young people, you know, not pre-millennial. I don't know what is before millennials. What is that? Generation Y or something?
Z? I don't know. Yeah.
Well, a lot of the young people are going that way. So, but that's an example of, you know, engaging in life where you get to see opportunities that other people won't see.
Yeah, awesome. So I want to close the loop. We started with the Fuck This event that changed things for you. If someone's listening right now and they've had the Fuck This event today or recently, is there any books that you recommend for them to go out and read and get their head around as their next steps on their journey?
Yeah, the next book they should read is the book that gets them to the next step. That may sound a little, in other words, if you don't know what the next step is, you haven't found the next step, meaning you shouldn't be reading a book. Okay, that's a circle jerk. A lot of people, they read a book and they say, oh yeah, I understand this, I'm going to go, and then they start reading books. That's what they do. That's their next step. They read book after book, but they do nothing. Yeah. Okay, your next step is to find the value skew. Find the solution you're looking to solve. Solve the thing you're saying, the business that you want to own that's going to do something a little bit better. And once you engage into that process, hey, I'm going to start a plant-based business selling plant-based pizza. From right there, your problems begin. How do I do this? How do I source a co-packer? How do I, do this? X, Y, all these problems come to the forefront. And at that point, that's when you can say, hey, I need to read a book on labeling. I need to read a book on, what is good packaging. I need to read a book on how to sell. I need a book on how to hire somebody to design a website. That's when that's what books to read. The problem that sits right in front of your face is the book you should be reading. If you're just reading a book because, hey, this book sounds interesting, then you're circle jerking. You're action faking. And I hope that a lot of people come to my book because they say, you know what? There's got to be more to this life than this. There's got to be more than life than 9 to 5, a weekend, paying bills and doing it for 50 years. And then they find my book. See, they had a problem. They had an urgency. They found my book. it should continue on that way forward once you begin your process of starting something.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for that. We might go. We got a bit of circle jerking to do as well ourselves, but maybe we should find the right book first. But MJ, thanks so much for chatting to us. What are your next projects are you working on next, and where can people find more about you and your books?
I run a business forum. It's the FastlaneForum.com. It has over 50,000 entrepreneurs on it. It's kind of our water cooler. Entrepreneurship can be extremely lonely. But you don't need to be alone, because there's a group of people there from around the world, Australia included. Come on by. It's free to join. There's no charge to read the material, to contribute. Also, I am working on a second book, Unscripted, book number 2. I hope to have that out in the new year, which is going to cover more of the, I would say, siloed principles that, because what happens is a lot of people on my forum, they come on and they have, I see these violations, or they're like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I say, nope, that's wrong. And I'd like to send them a principle, say, here, you're violating that principle. Here, you're violating that principle. So that the book's going to be kind of in that vein. So, and another thing about the forum is I'm there every single day. So, and I contribute every day. So if you read my book, you love it, and you want to hang out with me, that's the place to do it.
If you got something out of that interview and that conversation with MJ, let us know, let your friends know, share it on your socials, and tag us in.